The original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Has many references to ancient Egypt. The I Like Millennium symbol emblazoned on 6 of the 7 Millennium items is a stylized Eye of Horus. The Millennium Key is shaped like the Ankh, a hieroglyph meaning life. The spirit of the Millennium Puzzle is the spirit of a pharaoh named Atem, apparently named for an Egyptian god. And speaking of gods, probably the most memorable Egyptian aspect of the series is the set of cards known as the Egyptian God cards. Of course though, modern and Western concepts crept into the God cards design. As I grew up and learned more about ancient Egypt, I found quite a bit wrong with one of these monsters, Slifer the Sky Dragon. This isn't a criticism per se, but it does allow us to have some fun and try to figure out just what this monster would be like if it were more strictly based on ancient Egypt. For the sake of being comprehensive, I'll give a quick overview of my thoughts on the other two monsters before I get into Slifer. Before I begin, I ask that you check out my shops on Redbubble and Teespring. They're small for now, but I plan on growing them. You can get stickers, phone cases, and a host of other merchandise featuring designs I've created myself. If you do decide to support me, I'd really appreciate it. Links are in the description. And now, let's begin. I'm starting with the Winged Dragon of Ra because it's the one that's actually the most Egyptian of the three. Its yellow color and bird-like appearance are good references to the falcon-headed sun god Ra. It also has a spherical form that is an obvious reference to the sun disk that is often depicted over Ra's head. There are just a couple things that aren't very Egyptian though. First of all, its phoenix form. Phoenixes are classically known as Greek in origin, not Egyptian. The next thing is the fact that dragons aren't an Egyptian concept. There were a lot of serpentine entities in Egyptian mythology, more on that later, but they weren't anything like the Western winged dragon. A 6-limbed winged beast that does seem to have some Egyptian presence is the Griffin. It's falcon-headed like Ra, so it does seem to fit. Maybe instead of a winged dragon of Ra, this monster could have been the Griffin of Ra. What do you think? And then there's the blue giant, Obelisk the Tormentor. An obelisk was not a god, but these huge monuments did stand at the entrances to the temples. The Japanese name for this monster states that it is a soldier. That makes sense. A giant divine warrior standing guard at the sacred places of the gods. That's pretty much it for this monster, I guess. And now on to Slifer. In case you don't know, there is nothing at all Egyptian about the name Slifer. In the American localization process, the monster was renamed after Roger Slifer, a 4Kids producer. In Japanese, the monster's name is Oshiris no Tenkuryu, the Sky Dragon of Osiris. The first thing you might have noticed is that it's a dragon. Like I've said before, dragons aren't an ancient Egyptian concept. Another thing that's kinda weird about this monster is that it's a Sky Dragon of Osiris. Osiris is a god of fertility and lord of the dead and the afterlife, none of which have anything to do with the sky. I have two possible remedies for this. Before I get into them though, I want to talk about this monster's color. Red is the color of chaos and the dead desert sands. What's cool about that is that there's a huge ass snake called Apopis that tries to consume Ra, the sun god, every night and plunge all creation into chaos. I'm not sure if Kazuki Takahashi realized this when he was making this monster, but if he did, that's a really cool if dark connection. Anyway, my first option is to make the Sky Dragon a monster of Horus. As a falcon-headed god and king of the sky, Horus is a really good candidate for this monster. With this simple change, we don't have to alter the monster's design, although there is still the issue of it being a dragon. But let's forgive that because we don't want it to be too bird-like and make it basically a Ra clone. The second option is to change the monster's design, while keeping it as a monster of Osiris. Osiris is associated with the Nile, the longest river in the world, so it being a long-ass serpent is actually fitting. We could just clip its wings and make its serpentine design a reference to one of the many snakes that can be found in the Nile region. I like this, because its second mouth ability to sap the attack points from opposing monsters can be made snake venom instead of a blast of energy. Maybe we could change the color and make it black, the color of the fertility of the dark ground surrounding the Nile after the yearly flooding, or green, the color of Osiris' skin. So what would we call it? How about the Death Serpent of Osiris? Oshis, no Shishinja. That fits, right? And so, here's our new Egyptized Egyptian god card. What do you think? How would you change Slifer or any of the other god monsters? Leave your answer in the comment section below. Until then, I've been Ken Kwame. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.